Hello and welcome to Broken Entertainment. And today I want to talk about an article that appeared on Bounding into Comics a few days ago. And we'll go ahead and scroll down here to it. But essentially, this writer is claiming, author John Dell, a Roz, claims Disney's marketing strategy for Star Wars The High Republic is calling fans racist. So, we've covered the author telling people not to buy her book if you don't agree with her politics. We've covered the fact that a lot of Disney creators are starting to call people racists, either the fans or just white people in general. Take your pick. And this kind of has me thinking, and I want to go over it before I kind of get into what I'm thinking of it, but let's go ahead and go over the article. Justified creator John Dell Arose recently claimed that Disney and Lucasfilm's marketing strategy for Star Wars The High Republic is calling fans racist. His claim comes after Bounding into Comics reported on a number of tweets from newly announced Star Wars The High Republic host Christina Ariel, where she claimed white people are racist. I'm not going to go over all that crap again. Suffice to say that happened. Del Rose begins his video stating, "At this point, these marketing campaigns are very obviously coordinated. I'll be surprised if anyone falls for this one." He later described Ariel's tweets. "Yesterday we talked about this whole Disney kerfuffle, if you want to call it that, where their new host to talk about this High Republic stuff, which nobody is interested in, is all up on Twitter going off on white people. Saying awful things about white people, swearing about white people, being extremely racist in general. And yes, this is the accurate definition of racism, is when you talk about an entire race and do so negatively and with prejudice. So she is in fact being a racist." The Justified author continues, "What happened was Bounding into Comics called out the situation, and then the media went into overdrive because, of course, the backlash she got from being awful, which she should just apologize, or if this happened in reverse, the person would be fired, of course. But instead, the media is attacking the people who are upset for being called awful things." That's true. But this has been the game plan all along. She probably did these things intentionally, and I think it is a marketing stunt because nobody's interested in this Disney High Republic stuff. If you've gone through and even perused it, it just looks like an awful outing, and it's very clear they are pushing people in there as diversity hires intentionally. Sort of an Al Sharpton shakedown, but with science fiction, and nobody's going to want it. The author of the newly announced AI Wars comic then said, "And so because nobody is in advance going to want it, they're going to try and make a political cause out of it in order to generate sales. It worked very well for the Captain Marvel movie because they knew that the movie was needing some help because it's a tertiary character that really people are not invested in." So, I do want to stop here for a second. I don't really buy that. I think there was a little bit of that, but I think the majority of the quote-unquote success of Captain Marvel had more to do with the two movies it was sandwiched in between. Infinity War and Endgame. And people thinking you had to go see Captain Marvel to understand Endgame because they kind of led you to believe that. But so Brie Larson was tried out there to say controversial things in order to get free promotion from the press out of this and to get people to get hyped up on the political end so that they're backing the cause. And that's what happened with that movie, and it worked very well. So this is the playbook at this point. They're going to do it again. Del Rose then points to the Mary Sue's coverage of Ariel. You see the Mary Sue is already going out there, racist Star Wars fandom. Very crazy headline here, calling fandom racist immediately. Of course, they do not show her original comments. It's true. Everybody covering this in a positive light hasn't shown any of her statements. they just show this sort of thing where people are defending her from these racist Star Wars fans. It's pretty disingenuous. But that's how these news articles always go. They make these headlines, they're always disingenuous, they never show the truth of what is going on. Then points to another example of the BBC where they did the exact same thing. Racist abuse. Wait a minute, she was the one being the racist abuser. She was calling white fans awful people to start before anyone came back at her and was upset about it. But of course the BBC will not show this and will not report on it. Okay, so he's just kind of going over saying, what people have done with this woman. And again, I don't really want to go back into all the tweets. We've covered it enough. And he just kind of goes back into stuff. He then concludes, but yes, this is just a marketing gimmick for Disney at the end of the day because there's no talk of the High Republic that is positive. Nobody's interested in the comics, nobody's interested in the books, nobody's interested in the show discussing the comics and the books. And so they have to try to make some sort of cause about it in order to get people interested. It's a tired tactic at this point. Alright, so let's get into it. I buy this, but only a little bit. I absolutely believe that Disney thinks that stoking these fires and getting the media all hyped up to talk about it is the plan. I believe that when the High Republic came out, they were shocked. I think they expected it to be fully embraced and everybody to love it. But then it comes out and they put out all this marketing and you hear nothing about it anywhere other than YouTube complaining about it. I finally saw an article on Bell of Lost Souls about it. And what was it about? It was about the show. And Bell of Lost Souls is getting pretty, let's say, socially involved. And that just went up today, talking about the show. They didn't cover any of the racism stuff. But it's the first thing I've seen about the High Republic outside of Bounding into Comics, Bleeding Fool, any of that stuff. So essentially, all the High Republic stuff that's out there, or most of it, is either talking about this woman being quote-unquote attacked, or is from people who don't like it talking about not liking it. So the media is hoping that, or not the media, Disney's hoping to whip up the media, get people complaining about it in the media being under attack so that the people who support them on Twitter will go out and see it. The problem is people on Twitter who support them don't actually care. They don't usually financially support anything that they claim that they support. And we've gone over some of the problems with the High Republic. I don't really want to do that here, but the reason they're doing this, here's the thing. I don't think they actually sent her out to say anything, though. I think they saw that she was saying these things, and then they hired her. Because she's been saying these things for months. So what do you do when nobody likes your stuff? Well, you go out and you hire somebody that's going to say things that will get fans on YouTube to comment and on Twitter to comment. And then the media, which shills so hard for you it's not even funny, will rush to her defense and you'll get artificial hype about the High Republic. And I think that's what they did. Absolutely. That said, you will see people defending the High Republic. They're going to say, well, how can you say it's not selling well? It made the New York Times bestsellers list. Well, the bestsellers lists are all political garbage. The New York Times bestsellers list is based on a small committee of people who look at numbers from a small elite selection of bookstores and decide based not on what sells the most, but what they think is important. So you have a shill media company going out and putting this crap on the bestsellers list. And it's not hard for a major company like Disney to get something on the bestsellers list one time. Okay, the first book in the High Republic, a lot of bookstores are probably going to get sold into buying a whole bunch of it. And doubtlessly they did. And they're going to sit on it. You know, this is the way these things go. It's the same thing with comic book numbers. They tell you that comics are selling so well, and yet these companies can barely afford to keep their doors open and produce comics. So, what's happening? Well, they're selling comics to shops and calling that comic book sales. Never mind that the shops get stuck with them and have to sell them in their 50-cent bin in the hope of getting rid of them. So I do buy this to some extent. I think it's terrible. But Disney is so... I think Disney itself must be divided. You know, there's that rumor out there that Lucasfilm is in the middle of a civil war. I don't know if it's a civil war, but it just seems silly to, on the one hand, try to unite everybody with the Mandalorian, and on the other hand, try to divide everybody with the High Republic. I just wish they'd stop. Just stop hurting fans. Stop calling fans racist. Stop hiring racists to talk about your crap. Stop pretending the New York Times bestseller list has any actual meaning. Just go out there and make good quality stuff, and it'll sell. Well, if you liked the video, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications, and I will see you next time.